Welcome to your senior year class of 2021. The counselors are going to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Katie Liebers, and I am the school counselor for students whose last names start with A through DA.
Hey everyone, I'm Whitney Schulze. My students have the last name of DE through HO.
Hello, I'm Brody Failer. I am counselor for students' last names HU through MI.
I am Stacy Helmbrecht. I have MO through SC, and most of you seniors have been with me for a while.
Mrs. Craig, and I get the end of the alphabet, SE through Z.
So the first thing we're going to talk about here is post-high school options. You have a number of options, as you know. Many of our students choose to attend four-year universities. We will shortly talk about the steps you need to take in order to best prepare yourself for enrollment in a four-year university. You also have the two-year college option, such as Columbia State Community College. You have tech schools, which are very underrated and really do have a lot of upside. Military options, you can enter the workforce, or maybe you need a gap year. Those are your post-high school options.
I will also add that if you are choosing to take a gap year, or if you think you want to do that, you should go ahead and apply to your colleges now during your senior year. And then after acceptance, you can notify the college that you would like to take a gap year. And if they approve that for you, they will reserve your spot for the next enrollment year. So you can keep your financial aid, you can keep your acceptance, then you can do a gap year and start 1 year later.
All right, so let's talk about college applications. To get you started, the first thing that you want to do is go to the university's website that you are interested in applying to. Every university has their own application process and their own deadlines that they like to use. While there are general deadlines that they tend to follow, some have different deadlines, not only to be accepted into the school, but sometimes scholarship deadlines are earlier than that application deadline. So you just want to be mindful of those deadlines for yourself. A lot of our students use websites like the Common App or the Coalition app, which house lots of universities, and you can kind of streamline that process and apply to multiple universities at once. That makes it a little bit easier for you as the student working through that. Apply online. There will be application fees. So we as counselors, we really kind of encourage you to pick, try to narrow it down to your top 5 to 8 schools. Application fees can be really expensive, and you don't want to be paying application fees for 15, 20 schools. That's just going to take you so much time and effort that you could be spending on scholarships or other things for getting ready for college. If you don't use the Common App or Coalition app, you'll need to send your transcript to the university of your choice through www.orderatranscript.com. It's online, it's free, it's seamless, it works out really nicely for you. And so you can send your transcript that way. ACT or SAT scores have to be sent through those websites. We do not send those on your behalf. And keep in mind, at least with ACT, they can sometimes take 2 or 3 weeks to send your scores. It can take a while. So send those as soon as you know where you want to apply. Go ahead and put that school on your list. And of course, with COVID and all of the changes, we are getting a lot of information from universities that they are not going to be requiring ACT or SAT scores. So do your best to take those tests if you want to, but keep in mind that many schools are not going to penalize you because you weren't able to take a test. That's not your fault, and so they're trying to find other workarounds for students. So the Common App, we have, this is our most commonly used site. There are others, of course, and we're always here to work with whatever website you're working through. But the nice thing is you can apply to multiple schools at once. But of course, not all schools use the Common App. And anything with the Common App is online. So if you use our website, which we talked about and we'll give you again, or not website, emails, sorry. If you use our emails, which we had on the previous slide, and we'll give you those emails again, we just get an automatic email asking us to fill out your information from the counselor standpoint. Teachers are also getting those as well from the Common App. And so it's just a nice little easy way online to get it all done. We upload your transcript for you onto the Common App, so you don't have to use that ordertranscript.com, but you do still have to send your ACT, SAT scores through those websites. And of course, application fees still do apply even through the Common App.
Okay, things to know. First of all, we're on a 4.0 scale. A lot of students think that we're on a 5.0 scale because your GPA can be above a 4.0, but again, we're on a 4.0 scale. One of the questions you're going to have to answer when you're doing the Common App is how many students are in your class? 405, roughly. And we always report weighted GPA. So this applies to some schools and some scholarships. We don't have a way to access your unweighted GPA. You can do that yourself if you wanted to. Some schools will take your GPA and take out some classes and calculate their own. But again, we only report weighted GPA. Also, when they ask you what is your rank, we no longer rank. We haven't ranked in several years. So instead you would just click our school doesn't rank, and we have gone to the Latin system, and you can see below where you would fall on that. Next is requesting your recommendation letters. So please know that not every school wants a recommendation letter. And if they don't want it, then don't give that to them because they will just throw it away. So if they do need a recommendation letter from your counselor, that's fine. You just, we will happily take care of that for you. The only thing is that we need information from you. So what we've asked in the past is for students to either send us a copy of their resume or fill out our student data sheet. And we have a link right there. It's on our website as well. Either one is fine. It's just the more information you give to us, the easier it will be for us to write a letter that reflects you as a whole person. And we take a lot of pride in doing that on your behalf. So next is requesting a teacher recommendation letters. Now this is kind of above and beyond what a teacher is expected to do. So please, you know, when you think about who you want to request a letter from, and then please ask them in person. Now with COVID, via email, but don't just send them a request without first asking them if they can do it for you. And know that some teachers, get asked way more than others, and they can't fulfill all those requests. And so don't let your feelings be hurt if they can't do that for you. And also ask them in advance. Please don't say, oh, by the way, Mr. So-and-so, I just decided to apply to this school. Can you write this letter for me? And you give them a day's notice. That's just not respectful. So please, do your best to give them time to ask in person, send a thank you. Thank yous go a long way. And please do that yourself. At this point, we're expecting all communication to come from our students and not our parents. We'll guide you through this. Have faith in yourself. Parents, have faith in your kids. And I just think it's a good thing for them to get a grip on before they go to school, before they leave us and head to college. And next is early decision versus early action.
All right, so we often get asked a lot of questions about the difference between early decision and early action, and they sound kind of similar, so it does get a little bit confusing. But early decision is for your top school. If you have grown up and you have been a diehard Alabama fan or whatever university fan your whole life, and you've always known you've wanted to go to that school, that will be the school you would apply early decision. It is a binding agreement between you and the college. That does not mean that you can't apply to other schools, but what you are telling that school, if you are applying early decision, is that if you get accepted, you will absolutely pull out all of your other applications and you will attend. Now, there is a little caveat to that because, of course, some of that decision will depend on the financial aid package that you get. So that's something that's, that will be dependent on that. And you will be able to review the package that you're offered before you officially accept. But that's what early decision is telling that college, that they're your number one choice. Now, moving to early action, it is a little bit different. It is not a binding decision. It's just telling those schools that you're definitely interested in them and that you want to apply early, and you will usually get an earlier acceptance, usually in January or February. You can still apply to other colleges. You do not have to pull your application if you are accepted into one of those.
So paying for college, and this is where the most stress comes in usually, and the least help that we can be for you. We'll be as helpful as we can, but we can't make the money appear. Most of your financial aid, most students get their financial aid from the school they're going to go to. So while you're applying, check their websites, look at their scholarships, contact their financial aid people. And again, I'm really encouraging the students to do this. Parents, you can be, the little angel over the shoulder, helping them and making sure they're doing it. But you're going to get a better response if it's the students reaching out about any type of information. So sometimes the decision of where you want to go to school comes down to where you can afford. I think all of my colleagues would agree that if you ask us, where should I go to college? We're going to say, go where you can afford, go wherever you get the best offer, because it is incredibly expensive. And many of you will be seeking advanced degrees, like a master's degree, or if you're wanting to go into healthcare, a doctoral degree. So you're going to spend a long time in college, and where you do your first 4 years is not necessarily as important as where you are accepted for your later education. Other scholarships that we have available, the Tennessee Hope Scholarship, the Tennessee Promise Scholarship, those are only for Tennessee residents. If you live in Tennessee in the month of September of this year, you are eligible for those scholarships. I'm going to skip over talking about the FAFSA. We're going to come to that in a minute. Other scholarships, it is a large black hole, but Google search. There's lots of applications and websites where you can put in all of your personal information, churches that you belong to, companies that your parents work to, any unique situations. If you play a sport, if you play a unique musical instrument, if you ride horses, all the different activities you do, there's scholarships that go along in those. We will post more on our counseling website. Again, the link is there for you. So be sure you check that. There are some specific scholarships that we will place there. So the Hope Scholarship, this is available for Tennessee residents if you either have a 3.0 Hope GPA, and this is that second GPA that's on your transcript that a lot of people think is unweighted. It's not necessarily unweighted, it's just weighted differently than your other GPA. Or if you have a 21 on the ACT, so that would make you automatically eligible for the Hope Scholarship. It's a total of $16,000 spread over 4 years. You do have to meet academic requirements in order to remain eligible. And there we see that weird word again, the FAFSA. Talk more about that in a minute. The Tennessee Promise Scholarship. This is a scholarship available to all Tennessee students that graduate from a high school in Tennessee. It is $4,000 per year that will cover the tuition at a 2-year school like Columbia State, or at a TCAT college, the Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology. Some other programs like maybe Lincoln Tech or other technical programs you may be interested in, maybe the Aveda program, some of the cosmetology programs, if you're interested in that. There's no minimum GPA, there's no minimum ACT, but you do have to graduate, fill out an application, which is already open, submit the FAFSA, and attend some meetings and complete some community service. We will have a lot more detailed information, and we are going to email you often over the next 3 months about the Tennessee Promise, because we really want every student to apply, even if you're not sure. This year, 2020 definitely threw us for a loop. We had a lot of students who were planning their college plans. In October, they said, I don't have to do the Tennessee Promise. There's no way I'm going to Columbia State. Well, then the coronavirus happened, and some of these kids are like, oh man, I don't want to go live in a dorm where I'm going to have to do all of my classes online and not be able to do anything. I just want to save the money and live at home and go to Columbia State. And they're not eligible for that because they didn't complete the application. This has been a perfect example if you don't know what's going to happen. So make a backup plan. This is your backup plan. It takes 10 minutes, do the application, and then we'll move on. Then the FAFSA. This is the free application for federal student aid. If you're going to college, you're going to do this every year that you go to college. If you have more than one kid, you're going to do it for every kid every year that they go to college, even if you feel like you're not going to need financial aid. It's great. If you have the college savings and you're there, you may still be eligible to receive a scholarship. And the scholarship requires that you complete the FAFSA, like the Hope Scholarship. But also a lot of colleges, even if they're going to give you a scholarship based on your ACT, because you have an ACT of a 25 or higher, they're still going to want the FAFSA so that they can track where the money is going. So that opens October 1st. Do this. I will tell you there's some secrets to this. Some of the schools used your FAFSA date for getting, or sometimes your application date, sometimes your FAFSA date for getting in line for dorms and housing. So the earlier you submit this, the better. FAFSA is also, it's federal student aid. So it's first come, first serve. If you wait until March to submit your FAFSA, the aid might be gone. They may have already given it to someone else. So you want to do that as soon as you can. You do need all of your tax information that we just finished submitting in July, but it's, at least you don't have to wait till January for the new information. And Val and Sal, somebody else gets to tell you about this.
All right, this is me. So since we no longer rank our students, we do have a new process for selecting our valedictorians and salutatorians. So the first requirement is that students must qualify for the highest Latin system honor awarded to our school. I can go ahead and tell you that will be summa cum laude for Ravenwood students. So that is a GPA of a 4.25 or higher. The second criteria is that the student must sit for the AP exam for every course that you've taken, and you have to score a 3 or above on 75% of those exams taken. However, obviously with the pandemic that happened last school year, the tests are waived from the year 2020. So any AP exam that you did not take this past school year will not be held against you. However, going forward, you will need to sit for your exams this year unless something changes. Number 3 is that students have to complete 20 hours of community service beyond any community service completed by school organizations. So if you are in National Honor Society and you have to do some volunteer work, you cannot use those hours for this purpose. It has to be completely separate on your own. And then the 4th is in the event that multiple students meet the above criteria, which probably will happen, then the highest ACT composite score will be used in the event of a tiebreaker. And the final ACT score that will be used for this determination will be the February ACT score. And then if multiple students still meet all of those criteria, then we will have multiple vals and sals. And I think with the class of 2020, we had 9 valedictorians and 11 salutatorians. So that can definitely happen, and that's awesome. We are at a great school that we have a lot of great students. So it's a great process.
Okay, now I know what you're wondering. What do I do now? Well, you're going to want to start applying to schools. You're going to want to get right on that. You're going to want to at least know what are the application requirements for the schools that I'm interested in, or what schools am I interested in period. You're going to want to turn in a PE waiver form if you need a PE waiver to graduate. You're going to want to complete any missing credits from any of the first 3 years of high school if you have not done so. If you failed a class and you need that class to graduate, you're going to want to make that class up. Talk to your counselor right away.
And let me
So,
just quickly say,
Yeah.
sorry, I should have mentioned this earlier. We really encourage you to apply early, you know, because it can be a lengthy process and you have to apply for scholarships and stuff too. But keep in mind that there is no race. The person that applies first doesn't necessarily get any sort of advantage in the college process. We, as your counselors and your teachers, when you apply, we know your deadlines and we make sure that we meet that. But let's say the worst case scenario happens and I get sick the week before October 15th, and that's when your application is due, and I write your letter on October 16th. That's okay. You are not held accountable as long as you have done your portion of the college application. So you're not in trouble because I didn't meet your deadline. Of course, we all meet the deadlines. I don't want to scare you and think that we're not going to, but in a worst case situation, you're going to be okay. Please give us some grace. We each have many, many, many letters and things going on that we are tracking and trying to get done as quickly as possible.
Lastly, on this slide, I want to say, if you have any questions about anything, you, the student, come talk to your counselor. We are a team, but right now you are about to enter adulthood. Once you graduate from high school, you are the most responsible for your future. And so it is important for you to be proactive and take steps, all the necessary steps for adult success. We can help you with that.
We are all happy to talk with you. A lot of it is Zoom, so you're welcome to schedule a Zoom meeting with us. I will say we'd love to see your faces, and it's hard. We can't have that face-to-face conversation, but reach out to us and do that. Our last thing to share here, and with large thanks to Ms. Schulze for putting together this amazing RHS counseling website. This is a link. There is a link to this under the regular RHS website, but this is a specific website that we've created just for the counseling department. And we have a ton of information here. You can look under the college and career, and you can look at details for the college application process and tips for crafting an essay and searching for colleges. We do also have a scholarship and financial aid where you get information here. So please bookmark that link. Click on the link in this presentation, bookmark it, and anytime you have a question, you know we'd love to talk to you, but it'd be great if you check the website first and see if the answer is already there. And that way we can all make a better use of our time. Any other counselors wish to close this out here?
Just want to reiterate that we so enjoy answering your questions. It helps us get to know you better as we're writing your letters of recommendation. I miss that you're not here in the building and hope that you will be soon, but just know that we are right here, ready, willing, and able to help you. Thank you.
Thank you. Best wishes 2021.
Woohoo! Bye.